tell your child over and over to remember their homework, they've lost their water bottle, they seem to have forgotten important assignments, when they're due, what is actually due. You've repeated yourself so many times, you're beginning to wonder, is something wrong with their hearing? In this video, I'm going to share 3 proven strategies that have worked for parents just like you so that you can get your kid to start remembering. Remembering things at home, school, and on the playground are all related to your executive functioning skill called working memory. Working memory is one of the first skills to develop way as early as 6 months old, when a baby starts to recognize their parent's face from across the room. A preschooler can remember to do 2 or 3 things in a row to complete an activity. Your middle schooler should be able to navigate 5, 6 different teachers, what they need to get done, and how they want it to get done. Memory and all the other executive functioning skills start as early as 6 months and continue to develop all the way through the age of 25. So if you have a very forgetful kiddo or teenager, do not give up. There's plenty of things we can do to support their memory and to develop their memory. After I share the 3 strategies to help your child's memory, I have one bonus strategy and I have a bunch of fun facts that are really going to help you jumpstart your child's memory. Okay, number 1, remembering what to remember. Retell, narrate, and remember with your kiddo. Specifically, help them remember what you want them to remember. An easy way to do this is to retell what happened during the day. You could narrate a book. You could retell something that happened in a TV show or a movie. With an older child, you can have them retell you 3 important things that happened during their day, or 3 highlights, 3 good things and 3 not so goods that happened from a specific event that just happened recently. Quick tip for an older student: if you can convince them to retell what they just learned in class, will really help improve their ability to store the memory and use it when they need it for a test. Second strategy I want to share with you is called offloading. Did you know that our brains can only keep about 7 pieces of information before it starts not saving and spitting out things that we may need to keep for future? So this is why it's so important to teach our children to use our brain for things that we need now, and to use other things to store those memories that we don't need right away. You can show your child how to offload tasks with an old school grocery list. Having them use an agenda or a simple checklist are a great way to show them examples of offloading. I can share, I have dozens and dozens of notebooks and pads where I have written either things that I've had to learn, things that I've had to practice for a keynote I'm giving, even for a script for this video. And sometimes I don't even have to go back and look at it, because just the act of writing it down is enough to get my brain to remember it when I need it the most. Here's a hack for you parents: sharing with your child a time where you tried to keep everything in your head and remember all the things, and it didn't work out so well for you, or you may have forgotten something. It's a great way to connect and have them really trust that you are a guide to help them, not somebody just kind of telling them what to do because you said so. But you may have learned from your own experience, yeah, I do need to take a list with me to the grocery store, and yes, I do need to write down that appointment, because if not, I will forget. The third thing I'm going to share is talking to yourself. Using a multi-sensory approach is a great way to reinforce memories and help the brain keep the information we need. Repeating to yourself what you just heard helps build a specific part of your memory called your verbal memory. Something along the lines of using your sensory system is doodling what you just heard, doodling the steps you need to complete, is tapping into another part of your brain that can really help keep the information where you need it the most and when you need it the most. Parent hack for this is make this fun. You can use silly voices, soft little voices, quiet voices, squeaky voices, and just have a lot of fun with it. And when you do the doodling, you can bring out all the crayons and the markers and practice remembering things that went great and practice remembering things that didn't go great. Getting into that bonus strategy is hacking the environment. Whenever we try and improve executive functioning skills, it's usually two-prong approach. We want to use the environment to support whatever skill we're trying to improve, and then we also want to build that skill. So in this case, changing the environment will help support their memory. One of the things that parents love to do is we go through setting up a check-in and a check-out zone. This helps remember where to keep the things. This becomes a physical space where we remember to check in and see what we need for the day. And it also becomes a space where we get to dump things at the end of the day when we don't need them anymore. Here's a great place where you can keep lists, calendars, and checklists. A big hit for those 10 and up is kind of like a pseudo locker. So it mimics like a locker from school or a gym locker. The older 10 and up kids really seem to like that idea. A couple of quick fun facts about memory. Memory is actually a really complicated topic and a really complicated part of the brain. When talking about executive functioning skills, we always talk about working memory. Basically, working memory is kind of like a big umbrella part of your brain where your brain is to keep information, facts, memories that it needs. Here's where it gets tricky. It also needs to be able to pull out this information when we need it. Another part of this memory is long-term and short-term memory. Basically, all of our information starts off at short-term memory, and then our brain gets to decide if it's worth keeping and moving it into long-term memory. Two examples are multiplication facts. We all started learning multiplication facts and it was very laborious and hard for us to remember. And now we should hopefully probably be able to remember 3 times 3 is 9. Another example is learning to drive. It's such a stressful process. You have to think about so many things. And now as adults, we often may get to places and be like, oh, I don't even know how I got here, because it just becomes automatic. I will share my weakest executive functioning skill is actually working memory in all sorts of aspects. So if you ever come to my house and you leave your keys on the kitchen counter, let's say, and when you go to leave, you're gonna be like, where are my keys? I most likely, subconsciously, without thinking them, took the keys and hung them up at either of my doors where I have key holders. That's a great example of me using the environment to support my weak working memory. Here's one thing I want you to take. If you take anything from this video, it's this. Our memory can play tricks on us. Our memory can change and confuse what gets stored in our brain. It creates its own version of what's true. This explains why we often are convinced we had the right date when it was the wrong date. This is where sometimes we misinterpret what events happen because our memory is storing the wrong thing. I've seen kids turn in the wrong assignment, and the worst one is actually when they do the assignment and they don't remember to turn it in. Or they do the assignment and they realize they just totally misunderstood the entire assignment. So in order to avoid all this chaos that comes with a weak memory, remember to remember, retell what happened, use your environment, and don't forget to offload your memory. Every family has its own way to handle executive functioning challenges, but one thing that is the same throughout all the families that I work with are using strategies to support and build executive functioning skills. I share some strategies that I go over in this growth mindset video that's right here. I also share some strategies for a morning routine over here.